Hello, you're watching this video on the Pratyancha channel and my name is Neha. Today we shall be discussing a John Donne piece. It's a holy sonnet which is entitled, Thou Hast Made Me and Shall Thy Work Decay. We have discussed many other pieces by John Donne and you can see the names of these pieces on your screen right now. You can find a link to these pieces in the description box below. In the sonnet that we discussed today, John Donne is imagining that he's at the hour of his death and he's having this lovely conversation with God, and he tells God that he wishes for nothing else but redemption. Like all of us wish, he wishes that he be redeemed so that he's forgiven for his sins, he's forgiven for all the wrong dones that he has been responsible for in his life. And in this conversation, he wishes that God embraces him and makes him a part of the all-pervasive reality. Let's discuss John Donne's Holy Sonnet. The Holy Sonnet, Thou Hast Made Me and Shall Thy Work Decay, is a typical Italian sonnet, which means it has an octave and a sestet. An octave is an 8-line part, which is further divided into 2 quatrains, which are 4 lines each. The rhyme scheme in the octave is A, B, B, A, C, D, D, A, which is to say that decay rhymes with yesterday and haste with fast. That sounds like a slant rhyme, but John Donne goes ahead with it. And then way rhymes with way and cast with waste. Also, he brings in another sort of layer of rhyming. If you see, haste in the second line of the first quatrain, it rhymes with the last second line of the second quatrain, which is waste. So Donne is trying to make the sonnet as musical as possible, and in the sestet the rhyme scheme is ED, ED, and of course the couplet at the end has GG, which is to say that in the quatrain of the sestet the word again rhymes with sustain and me with thee. So alternate lines have rhyming words at their end, and in the couplet heart rhymes with art. So this is the structure of the sonnet that he maintains, the Italian sonnet. And also you will be able to feel that it is in the octave he sets up the problem, and it is in the sestet that he now says what needs to be done. So it's almost like setting up a premise and then trying to resolve it. Another thing that I would want to comment upon here is that Donne uses a very specific conceit here. Conceits are extreme examples or metaphors that a poet sets up in metaphysical poetry. This is a very wonderful example of metaphysical poetry in Donne's oeuvre. And here, if you see in the end, I will tell you what the conceit is. He takes up a very scientific, almost an example from chemistry, I would say, and he says that if he has iron in his heart, then God be the magnet, or that legendary stone with magical properties, and therefore God can attract him towards himself. So this is really to say that God makes John Donne a part of his identity when Donne is no more. But if you see, the example is taken from science, and when metaphysical poetry was being written, a lot of scientific advances were being made, and these poets tried to put in these things into their poems because they were learning it from their intellectual environment that was operated in the vicinity that they were writing in, and therefore he uses a very specific conceit here to give us an idea that this is how badly he wants to become one with God. So now we'll start reading the sonnet and we'll try and discuss it line by line, stanza by stanza, or quatrain by quatrain. Okay, so Donne in the first line says, Thou hast made me and shall thy work decay. Repair me now, for now mine end doth haste. I run to death and death meets me fast, and all my pleasures are like yesterday. He says that you have made me God, and if I'm your work, then you should be proud of me. I should not come to a point where I'm decaying, where I'm becoming one of the negative forces of the world, where I'm becoming a part of that which is not positive in the world. I should not decay. My death is soon going to occur. I know that I'm not going to live long, God, so repair me now. Now the word repair, of course, we all know that it simply means that you be repaired. What is wrong with you is set right. So he's requesting God that you repair me. Repair sometimes also means go to, which is, I I would think Donne would have that meaning operative in his mind, and he's simply saying that I would want to now return to where I should have been, but I have taken a lot of wrong paths in my life. So, oh God, please return me to where I belong. Return me to where I would be healed and I would not be exhibiting traits that actually shall show me in a bad light, because I'm a work that you have created. So repair me now, because my end now is going to come very soon. Haste, it's going to come very soon. And doth, archaic usage, it means does. My end does haste. It's coming very soon to me, and I'll be no more in some time. I run to death, and death meets me as fast. So I know that I am approaching this minute, this second, this moment when I'm going to be no more. And death also is running towards me to take me with it. And all my pleasures are like yesterday. So he says, I look at my life behind me, and I know whatever happiness I've had in my life now lies behind me. It's now over, it's now gone, it's yesterday, it's the past, and I cannot really regain that pleasure or that happiness anymore. I simply have to embrace death. In the second quatrain, Donne says, I dare not move my dim eyes anyway. Despair behind and death before doth cast such terror, and my feeble flesh doth waste by sin in it, which it towards hell doth weigh. And he says that my eyes are dim, which means it's the eyesight of an old man who's very near to death, and the eyes are not capturing too much of light. And even with these dim eyes, I dare not look forward or backward, because when I look backward, I look at my life, and maybe then I look at things which are unfulfilled desires, the mistakes that I have done, or things that I could have done differently. And he says, I despair then. When I look back, I despair. And if I look forward, then I look at death. Death is staring me in the face. So it's a very complex line to write, and Donne does it beautifully in saying that the light in my eyes has dimmed, and even with this dim light, I really do not dare to see backward or forward, because both the directions, they cast terror. They're throwing fear my way. My heart starts to beat faster. I feel that this is something that I would not want to, or this is not the way I would want my life to end. There is a lot of fear in me when I look either ways. And my feeble flesh, my flesh is now weak, it's feeble, and it's wasting away, because there is a lot of sin in it. Donne realizes that he's done a lot of wrong things in his life. He has sinned very much. So he says, my weak flesh, it now cannot handle all the sin that has been committed, and it's therefore wasting away. And in that sense, I am being pushed towards hell. I am being condemned to hell, because I know that these are things that I've committed which cannot be pardoned, and therefore hell wants to consume me. It is here that the octave ends. So he set the stage for us, like I said, that it's the hour of death. He feels that there is no way that he can live any longer, and therefore he feels that God should now help him. But that help, and what kind of help he's seeking, will now be expressed in the sestet, in the second part of the sonnet. And he says, only thou art above, and you are above. Thou, you are above. While death is in front of me and my life is behind me, you are one who's above, and you're looking at all this unfolding with your heavenly eyes. Only thou art above, and when towards thee by thy leave I can look, I rise again. John Donne expresses this, that if you grant me, if by thy leave, if you grant me this opportunity, I'll be able to look above, and I'll be able to rise. I'll be able to come towards you. I'll be able to leave behind this life of sin that I have lived in all these years. But our old subtle foe so tempteth me, that not 1 hour I can myself sustain. Old foe. Foe, someone who's your enemy. An old foe, forever. Since eternity, you and I have had an enemy, and that enemy is tempting me. This is the line where the sonnet takes a turn. On the face of it, it seems that it is God, it is death, and it is John Donne, or the protagonist of the poem. But Donne gets in another ingredient to his writing. Donne gets in a very wonderful complexity to this whole scenario. He gets in the Satan, and he says that God, Satan is your foe, your enemy, and my foe as well, and Satan is who tempts you to commit sins. Satan is someone who tempts you to leave the righteous path in life and do things which you shall not be proud of. And he's saying that I'm so tempted by Satan that even for an hour I cannot sustain my good righteous self, God. So please, you permit me that I look at you, I look above, and thereby I rise again. So he says that not 1 hour I can myself sustain. It's not possible for me if you don't help me to rise towards you or to look up to you. I cannot sustain myself. Let's look at the last 2 lines now. To conclude, Donne says that thy grace may wing me to prevent his art, and thou, like adamant, draw mine iron heart. Thy grace may wing me. What a wonderful way to use the word wing. He's not saying give me wings, he's saying wing me. So basically, fly me to you. Thy grace may wing me. God, you have so much of grace that you can fly me to you, and then you can prevent his art, Satan's art. So you can prevent Satan from having any force or any impact upon me. If you were to bless me with your grace, then I would simply fly to you and Satan wouldn't consume me. And thou, like adamant, draw mine iron heart. And like adamant is this legendary material which was known to have very many properties, and it was known to possess a lot of constituents, different kinds of constituents. Also in the Middle Ages, adamant was used as another name for magnet. So he says, God, you're the magnet, and I, with my iron heart, shall be drawn towards you. The word adamant also means unshakable. So God, you're the one with these mysterious characteristics, mysterious multiplicit characteristics, one of which is magnetism, or you can attract me to you. And also you're unshakable. You're the only thing which is the unshakable truth of the world. So God, please take me before Satan consumes me. So what is set up in this sonnet is that death is inevitable. It's right at my doorstep, it's staring at me in my face, and it's gonna take me. God, but in this death, make me a part of you. Don't let me belong to the Satan. Don't let my temptations or my sins that I've committed in my life pull me towards this satanic force, so that in my death I become a part of the negativity of this world. No, I want to become a part of you, God. I want to be redeemed. And the fact that Donne says, redeem me, is not just a prayer. And that the title clarifies to us, because he says, or the first line clarifies to us, because he says that thou hast made me, and shall thy work decay? So it's almost like he's challenging God. He's tugging at God's soul, that since you've made me, if I were to decay, if I were to become a part of Satan's forces, if I were to be consumed by the Satan, then God, your honor is at stake. And I like this very much in John Donne, that he almost treats God as an equal. In very many pieces he's done this, and like I told you in the beginning of the sonnet that we've discussed many other pieces by Donne, and I've pointed this out at other places as well. He treats God as this equal, and they're having this conversation, and he tells God, God, if you don't take me, it's not just my loss, it's yours too, because your work would decay, your creation, you created me, and that shouldn't be consumed by the Satan, God. You really need to understand how important it is for you to redeem me. So it's an interesting way of putting forth which otherwise would have sounded just like a prayer at the end of your life, but here sounds like a challenge that he throws to God, that you really need to redeem me, otherwise your honor is at stake. So this is what Donne is saying in this sonnet. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up and encourage the channel. I'd like to hear from you. Do leave your thoughts in the comment box below. Thank you.